There is something almost nobody talks about, and it quietly takes more independence away from people our age than anything else I've ever seen. It isn't a heart attack. It isn't cancer. It's exhaustion. It's years of broken sleep, night after night after night, until a person is so worn down they don't trust themselves in their own home anymore. My name is Maria. I am 103 years old. I live by myself, and I slept through the night last night. I did not always. For a long stretch of my life, I was up 2, 3, 4 times a night, every night, and it nearly cost me everything. So I want to sit down with you today and tell you honestly what was happening, what I finally did about it, and this is the part most people leave out, the thing that mattered even more than any of it. If you're over 60, or you love somebody who is, stay with me. When my nights changed, I was always a good sleeper. My husband, Gerald, used to say a marching band could come through our bedroom and I wouldn't so much as flutter an eyelid. Sleep was never something I thought about. It was just something that happened, like breathing, like the sun coming up. Then one night, somewhere in my late 60s, I woke at 2 in the morning with that low pressure in my belly, that insistent, impossible to argue with signal. I shuffled to the bathroom, came back, and lay there staring at the ceiling. I told myself it was nothing. Everybody my age wakes up once in a while. It wasn't once in a while. Within 6 months, it was twice a night. By 70, it was 3 times. And by my mid-70s, I was barely sleeping at all, asleep by 9, awake at midnight, awake again at 2:30, awake at 5, and dragging myself out of bed at 7, feeling like I'd been awake for 3 days straight. I need you to understand what that does to a person, because if you're living it, you already know, and if you're not, you can't imagine it. I was tired in a way that went down into my bones. I was short with people, which was not like me at all. I was forgetting little things, where I set my reading glasses, whether I'd watered the tomatoes. And my daughter started calling with a certain careful tone in her voice. You know the one, the tone that means she's deciding something about you and hasn't told you yet. If you have sat in your chair at night, worn down to nothing, wondering whether next year you'll still be able to care for yourself, I see you. I have been exactly where you are. That fear is not foolish, and it is not weakness. It is your body asking for attention. Let me tell you about Dorothy. I had a friend, Dorothy. She'd been a school teacher for 40 years, a precise, formidable woman who diagrammed sentences for fun and never once raised her voice at a child. She was not a complainer. But one morning over coffee, she told me she'd been up 4 times the night before, and I saw something behind her eyes that frightened me. Not the tiredness, though that was there. Something smaller, something retreating. Dorothy moved into assisted living a few years later, and I want you to hear this part carefully. It wasn't a stroke. It wasn't a fall. She had no catastrophe at all. She moved because she was so exhausted from not sleeping that she no longer felt safe living alone. The nights had ground her down year after year, until the woman who once ran a classroom of 34 8-year-olds didn't trust herself to run her own kitchen. I visited her every week until she passed. And the last time I held her hand, she looked at me and said, "Maria, I still don't understand why my body stopped cooperating." That's why I'm making this video, because Dorothy deserved an answer, and so do you. What's actually going on, and the first thing you must do. Now, I am not a doctor, and I want to be very plain with you about this, because there are people on the internet who will tell you otherwise, and they are doing you real harm. Waking up at night to use the bathroom has a name. Doctors call it nocturia, and it is common as we age. But it is not something you should simply accept, and it is not something you should try to fix alone with a video from an old woman. Here's why. There is a whole list of real, serious things that can cause it. Diabetes, an enlarged prostate, if you're a man, heart trouble, kidney trouble, sleep apnea, that's a big one people miss entirely, where your breathing stops and starts at night, an infection. And very often this one surprises everybody. It's simply the medicine you're already taking or the time of day you take it. Water pills especially. Take one too late in the afternoon and it will have you up half the night. And that's not a mystery. That's a schedule problem your doctor can fix in one appointment. So here is my first and most important piece of advice. And if you take nothing else, take this. Go tell your doctor. Tell them exactly how many times you're up. Tell them the honest number, not the polite one. Ask them straight out, could this be my medications or the timing of them? Ask them if anything else needs ruling out. I know some of you are tired of appointments. I know some of you have been told at your age, that's just normal, we'll manage it. I heard that too, and I'll tell you honestly, it made me want to spit. Manage it, not fix it. Manage it. If you get that answer and it doesn't sit right with you, it is perfectly all right to ask for more or to ask somebody else. You have every right to. But you cannot fix what you haven't looked at. So look at it properly first. Then come back and I'll tell you what helped me. Now here's what I changed. Alongside what my doctor and I sorted out, there were things I did for myself. These are the ones that made the difference for me, and every one of them is ordinary, free, and gentle. I put my feet up in the evening. This is the one that surprised me most, and it's the one I'd tell you first. Here's the simple version, as it was explained to me. All day long, you're upright. Gravity pulls fluid down toward your legs, and as we get older, the veins in our legs get less springy than they were, so some of that fluid settles into the tissue of your calves and ankles and just sits there. You may hardly notice. Maybe your socks leave a groove when you take them off. Maybe your ankles look a little puffy by supper. You assume that's just age. Then you lie down to sleep, and once you're flat, that fluid has an easier time getting back into your bloodstream, so your body deals with it the only way it knows how, through your kidneys, in the middle of the night. So now, most evenings, about an hour and a half before bed, I lie on my sofa and put my feet up on the armrest heels, a bit higher than my heart, for about 15 or 20 minutes. I read. Sometimes I put the radio on. Then I use the bathroom before I get into bed. That's all it is. I'm just letting that settling happen while I'm awake and in my own chair, instead of at 2 in the morning. Now, if your ankles swell a good deal, please mention that to your doctor too, because swelling is worth a proper look, and they may want you in compression stockings, which help the same way and help better. But the feet up is the gentlest thing in the world, and for me it changed my nights. I wake up my calves in the morning. Every morning I stand at my kitchen counter, always with a hand on something solid. Please, always, and I rise up onto my toes and let my heels come back down 20 or 30 times. Takes half a minute. Your calf muscles are what help push blood back up out of your legs. They're meant to be used. So I use them first thing, and I get my circulation moving in the right direction before the day even starts. It costs nothing and it takes less time than making coffee. I move the salt shaker off my table. Salt holds water in your body. That's not a theory, that's just what it does. And most of the salt we eat isn't the shaker anyway. It's hidden in the food. Cured meats, cheese, the canned soup, the condiments, the frozen dinner. So I took the shaker off my table years ago, and more to the point, I don't eat the heavy, salty things at supper. That alone made my ankles smaller by bedtime. I ease off the fluids in the evening, but I do not go thirsty. Now here's where I want to be careful, because I've heard people give bad advice on this. I drink my water through the day, steadily, because at our age the thirst signal goes quiet, and a great many older folks are running dry every single day without knowing it, and that leaves you tired and dizzy and foggy and unsteady on your feet. Being dried out is not the answer to anything. What I do is simple. I drink normally all day, and then in the last 2 hours or so before bed, I just sip enough that my mouth isn't dry, not a big glass, and I always go to the bathroom right before I get in. Don't punish yourself with thirst. Just move your drinking earlier in the day. I gave up the evening glass of wine. This one was hard, and I'll be honest that I missed it. But alcohol works against you twice over at night. It makes your body produce more urine, and it wrecks the quality of your sleep. Besides, you may fall asleep quicker, but the sleep is shallow, and you surface out of it all night long. Same story with coffee and strong tea in the afternoon. I keep my caffeine to the morning now, and I don't drink in the evening. My nights got quieter almost immediately. I do a few quiet exercises in bed, lying in the dark. Before I sleep, I do about 20 slow repetitions of what they call pelvic floor exercises. Not tightening my whole body, not squeezing everything at once the way most people do it wrong, just lifting that one interior muscle, the one you'd use to stop the flow, holding for a count of 3 and letting go. These are real, and they're one of the few things in this whole video that doctors and physical therapists actually teach to older people for bladder control. They help. They take 2 minutes, and you can do them lying flat with your eyes closed. And if you've never been shown how properly, ask your doctor. They can point you to somebody who'll teach you right, and it makes a difference. And I protect the sleep itself. I go to bed at a decent hour, near the same time each night. My room is dark. My room is cool. I don't eat a big meal right before I lie down. Good sleep is when a body does its mending, and an old body has mending to do. Guard it like something precious, because it is. How long it took. I'll tell you the truth so you don't quit on yourself in week 1. I noticed a small difference inside of a week. I went from 3 trips a night to 1 inside of a month, and within a few months, I was sleeping the night through most nights. Not every night. I'm central, not a miracle, but most nights, and that was the whole world to me. None of it happened fast, and none of it happened from doing one thing once. It happened from small things done every day without giving up, because I still woke once. Patience is not sitting still. Patience is deciding to keep showing up for something that matters. Now, the part that matters most. I have to tell you something, and it's the honest heart of this whole video. All of that fixed my nights. It did not fix my life. Because there was a stretch, 3 years after Gerald died, that I'm not afraid to call a slow dissolving. I was well enough. I was doing my exercises, eating carefully, sleeping better, and I was hollow in a way I could not explain to my doctor and could not quite explain to myself. I'd wake in the morning and lie there asking a flat, practical question. Why get up? Not dramatically. Just an old woman doing the arithmetic and finding the benefit column disturbingly empty. Here's what turned it. And it wasn't a food, and it wasn't an exercise. My granddaughter, Elise, called me one evening in November. She was studying for her nursing exam, and she was in a panic about the drug names she couldn't hold in her head no matter how many times she went over them. She asked if I'd quiz her, just read the question and tell her if she got it right. So I did. For 2 hours we went back and forth, her reciting and me checking her answers against her study guide. By the end, she was laughing, worn out, and confident. And she said, "Grandma, you should have been a teacher." I already knew that. But hearing it from her in that moment did something to me I still can't fully put into words. I got up the next morning without asking myself why. That is not a small thing. That is everything. I started tutoring neighborhood children in reading that spring, just 2 afternoons a week at my kitchen table. Then a woman at my church asked if I'd call her mother in a care home once a week because her mother was lonely and she lived 3 states away. So I did. Then somebody else asked. And somebody else. I'm 103 now, and I make 4 phone calls a week to people in facilities who don't have enough company. I bring food to 2 neighbors who can't drive. I write letters, real ones, on paper, in my own hand, to people who tell me those letters are the thing they look forward to most all month. My body didn't grow younger from any of it, but I believe with everything I have that it's why I'm still here, still standing, still glad to swing my legs over the side of the bed each morning. Being needed is not a favor you do for other people. It's what keeps you here. I have watched this my whole long life. I've watched people who were physically strong start to fail within 2 years of leaving the work that gave them a name. I've watched sharp, healthy women start to go under when their families stopped calling except out of duty, when their days emptied out into nothing but appointments and television. The body follows the spirit. That's not poetry. That's 103 years of watching. And be honest about it. One more thing and then I'll let you go. Be honest, the private kind. When nobody's watching, if you're lonely, say so. Even if you're only saying it out loud in your own kitchen with no one to hear. So many of us are lonely and too proud to name it, and the loneliness is doing more damage than the tired nights ever did. There's real science now on what it does to a body, but I didn't need a study. I've seen it with my own eyes, over and over, and it starts to loosen the moment you stop pretending it isn't there. Be honest with your doctor too. Tell them what's actually happening, not the tidy version. And when somebody calls to check on you, try saying, actually, I'm having a hard week, instead of fine, everything's fine, don't worry about me. That one sentence has saved more people than any supplement ever sold. Ask for help before you're in trouble. That's not weakness. That's how a person stays in her own house at 103. What I want you to do. So here it is, all of it plain. Go tell your doctor the real number. Ask about your medicines and their timing. Then put your feet up in the evening. Do your heel raises in the morning with a hand on the counter. Take the salt off the table. Move your drinking to earlier in the day. But don't go thirsty. Give up the evening glass. Do your quiet exercises in the dark. And guard your sleep like it's precious, because it is. And this is the one I'd carve into stone if I could go be useful to somebody. Make 1 phone call this week to somebody lonelier than you. Write 1 letter, bring 1 meal. Give 1 hour of your attention to a grandchild, a neighbor, a stranger who needs to be heard. You are not too old for that. You are exactly the right age. You've got a whole life of stories and steadiness in you, and this world is starving for it. My name is Maria. I am 103 years old. I slept through the night last night. This morning I put my feet on the floor, did my heel raises at the counter, and went to make my coffee. And then I sat down to tell you this because Dorothy deserved to know, and so do you. If this reached you tonight, do me 1 kindness. Leave your name and your age in the comments below. I read every single one, and I mean that. Tell me 1 thing you'll try tomorrow, 1 small change, or 1 person you'll call. Just 1. That's how it begins. And if you'd like to sit with me again, real talk, honest talk, from somebody who's actually walked this road, then subscribe, and I'll be right here, Lord willing, same as always.